Also talking about Manitoba legends, here's another one. Here's the President, David Chartrand of the Manitoba Métis Federation. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I heard that version of Happy Birthday.
Oh, no. I told you, it's not a good version.
And I agree. You and I were not giving it a voice to sing, let's put it that way.
No,
not
we
like
weren't.
The legendary Ray St. Germain.
Not very
No,
put on the
that's a
spot.
voice.
That's a voice, I know.
Yeah, that's a voice, yeah. So anyways, I'll try to do a quick snapshot update, what's going on. First, I want to state I had a very, very good meeting with the chiefs in British Columbia. We talked about sovereignty. We talked about coexisting in our own rights as both the Métis Nation of the Red River and the British Columbia, of course, their sovereignty and their territorial rights. So it was a very good meeting. We had a very good dialogue with the Grand Chiefs and many of the other chiefs. And we talked about, as I said, the future of how we can look at coexisting. I talked about the issue of, we were able to achieve this in the 1800s with Riel. And at that time, we didn't have all these degrees we talk about having in our walls today. And it was based, again, solidly on your good name and at the same time on partnership. So, I indicated that we need to start looking at this, arranging MOUs or treaties with each other so we can actually coexist. I made it very clear the Métis of the Red River are not claiming any right to any lands in British Columbia because historically we can't prove that. We can't show it because the province was created before we actually had any true involvement of owning land or claiming to any land. So I acknowledge that we're in the rights of the First Nations in British Columbia. We're in their territory, in their jurisdiction. And if we ever coexist, we'd have to ask permission to use their lands. Mm-hmm. So not like the prairies. Prairies, we've been proven over and over again our rights to the land, our rights to the usage of the land, our rights to governance, or our existence as a people and as a nation before Canada became Canada. So we can prove without a doubt in the prairies. But in British Columbia we can't. And same thing, as I stated on many times on the show here already, this identity theft that you see taking place worries me a lot as a leader, and worried Lou Riel when he was a leader, that people will come and try to steal our identity, especially when you start to really find, like slowly we are now progressing ahead so strongly in finding our identity and at the same time finding our place in Confederation. And as we advance ourselves, whether it's winning in the courts or negotiating a better place in Confederation, a better place to be in equals in the format of being treated with respect, and at the same time with our benefits and opportunities that does exist, even though it was denied for so long by Canada, we've proven now that they can no longer hide in the bush or under the grass, that the grass has been cut too short. The truth is now they have fiduciary direct responsibility with the Métis. So that's why these new initiatives are occurring, whether it's Bill 92, which is child family legislation, which is we're negotiating. We're very close to getting to that conclusion. Then the health legislation is coming. That discussion is going to start happening. In fact, we may take more of an aggressive stand with Canada if they're taking too long, because this decision came down in 2016, where the Supreme Court made it very clear that the federal government had a fiduciary responsibility directly to Métis, and our rights are no lesser than First Nations. And so, without any doubt, Canada has an obligation ruled by the court and the law of the land. So everybody's got to follow the law of the land, and so does the federal government. So I'm getting a little antsy, and the patience is starting to wear off. Now we're in 2022, and we have yet to have a full-fledged relationship with Canada. So letters are going out already steadily from our government, making it very clear we have to go to ourselves, to the Canadian Rights Tribunal, to seek justice, or to the courts. We will. And that's what's being discussed in our cabinet right now, and we'll continue to push that agenda very hard. So any federal government officials listening, you better make sure you tell your minister we're coming. And if they don't listen to the law, then they should ask themselves who do they represent and on what premise did they have the right to disagree with not representing the law of the land. So those are serious issues for us, but we also see now that we gain these things, people are coming to steal. They want our identity. So these are key issues, and that's the same thing that British Columbia raised. Mm-hmm. The First Nations there basically raised the same thing, that their sovereignty is their sovereignty and their rights to the land is theirs, and they don't want nobody to come trying to steal intrude into and steal their sovereign rights to the lands and the rights to their resources. So the same thing the Algonquins are saying in Ontario, that those people claiming to be Métis are not Métis, and we can prove ourselves in our genealogy systems. Those people are not us. They're completely different. They're mixed bloods, mostly, as the Algonquins say, mostly the Algonquins. But now they're saying they're the Métis Nation of Ontario. So they want to be treated as Métis Nation rights-bearing people, which they don't have no right to do because they're not us. And they did not sacrifice, nor did they negotiate themselves into Confederation and partner and join Canada with the promise of lands and respect, and at the same time, Section 35 rights that are ours, and we will protect that. So that's, you look at that Mary Ellen Trappell story that's getting used more and more. It was in CBC again, and now there's guarantees, stories being told born in Norrie House is not real. Adopted is not real. The birth certificate proves without doubt the person was not born there in Norrie House, and nobody knows the family in Norrie House. So at the end of the day, the CBC is unraveling the story. This person came along and decided to say she was a First Nation, and it just threw a bunch of false statements and false commitments that she came from a certain place and was, her dad was always a Cree adopted by her grandparents, and which is not real. So it's sad. It's unfortunate. I don't know why. Maybe they fantasize about.
She's gotten all these awards as well, and honorary degrees
from a lot of universities because of her being Aboriginal is probably going to be pulled back eventually. The universities will pull them back. But again, for me, it's that taking away something that is ours, and we have suffered so long. And this is what people got to understand. If you look at the Métis Nation, look at even today. Today, we still suffer greatly on trying to find our place in Confederation, trying to find that we can have great prosperity and opportunity like anybody else. We're hard-working people. The Métis Nation has always been entrepreneurial, spirited people, and we're always business-minded. We always work hard. We take care of our families, and we don't ask for handouts. We take care of ourselves. But if you look at it overall, where are we trying to take care of ourselves? In lands that are of no value. All the rich soil lands and everything that they've taken from us back in 1870 and on. So that rich, prosperous soil land, which would have produced probably great farming opportunities for us, great production opportunities, all that was lost. Instead, we're next door, and First Nations are suffering the same as we are. We're in the swamps, where there's virtually no purpose of value of the land. And if we do find any purpose, all of a sudden, if the governments help the big industries that come along, whether it's the forestry or mining and so forth and so forth, and we're always at the end getting the scraps. And that's the hard part, and yet we're trying to find where do we fit in Confederation. At the same time, we're trying to find how do we stop these people come and steal our identity and steal our progress. So, but again, that's a story that'll continue to linger in our cabinet, and our government will continue to push those agendas very strongly. So I thank all of the First Nation leadership, again, the Grand Chiefs and Chiefs. I had a very good long dialogue with them, and on Tuesday, of course, I embarked to everybody I'd be gone on holidays, but I'm taking that call. I'm taking other calls I'm working on right now. But that particular call was very important to me, and it turned out very well. It was well received on both ends, on both sides, from their side and from our side, and our dialogue is going to continue. So I look forward to that happening as we move forward. And that should happen in Manitoba. I've echoed that so strong so many times, right from, the days of different Grand Chiefs, that whether it's my friend Grand Chief Bushy, or he and I were very good close friends. And when you look back in history, we talked about treaties. We talked about coexisting, co-sharing our natural resources, because we should. We're neighbors. We're crying out loud. We're related. We're cousins. And so we should be able to find a solution. And for some reason, that solution never finds its way to a piece of paper or to a process that we can show to others. We don't need non-Indigenous people to tell us how to govern ourselves, because we know how to govern ourselves. We were born to be governing ourselves throughout history. So again, that's ongoing work. I'll keep on pushing. I believe that treaties should be signed amongst the Métis of the Red River and First Nations, coexisting, co-sharing the natural resources. And I continue to push that agenda, and I will continue to fight, protect my people's rights, and hopefully the way to process this would be to sit down and come to an agreement of how we all coexist. So, and if we do that, I think we'll be far better off economically. we start sharing our wealth and our opportunities, construction and development, housing. Just like us, we're building houses everywhere. Steel frame houses are coming up. The end production of what I see there is very well returned in a sense of savings and protection of fire and mold and all the rest of it. I think we have about 10 houses up now in steel frame. And I've shared this with some of the chiefs, and they're very interested on looking at the model that we've created. And we have bought the steel machines. We bought them from New Zealand. So we're looking forward to opening a factory. But at the same time, all the construction we have Métis and First Nations working on building our houses across the province, and our daycare centers, our apartments that are coming up, and on and on and on. So if we coexist and co-share, it's a win-win for everyone. But if we don't want to support each other, then you're standing all alone, and it's harder. You might be successful, but it's harder.
Right.
So, but if you work together, we can catch up faster. So, it's a message I leave out to the First Nation leadership that the Federation doors are wide open for partnerships, and I'm definitely looking to see how we can be stronger together. I also want to take the opportunity to wish some other people here some birthdays before I forget. First, some get well wishes. John Wayne from Duck Bay, Martin Furlan, that's his name. We all know him as John Wayne. That's his nickname. He's had it since he was a kid, and he's the same age as I am. So he had to go in for some surgery. My understanding, briefing I'm getting and checking on regularly because I grew up with him. He's doing better, awesome. But he had to be medevaced in from Swan River because he had some issues with the bleeding in the brain. So hope you're doing well, John Wayne, and hopefully you'll be heading back to that day in the near future and healthy and back to your normal self. Also want to say a special hi to a Cindy Allison. I met her at my granddaughter was getting her nails done, and at the shop on Henderson Highway, and she's Métis, and she was sitting there with her mother-in-law. I believe it was her mother-in-law. Anyway, we started chatting away, and then we started talking about the parade that was happening and her being Métis, and we had this. I think we were sixth on the float, and I think again. Bucky and Alfred Anderson, who was our vice president, but he's also responsible for culture and heritage for the Métis government. And I think our float was number 6. And I looked at it, and it wasn't. You know what disappointing? It wasn't on TV. I searched for that thing everywhere. We actually got together at home because I had a bunch of people come in.
Yeah,
that's why I wasn't there. And plus, I was a little off off the weather a little bit. My nose was a little stuffed up in that, but. We stayed home and we got a family in and everything was all sit around and get ready to watch it on TV. It wasn't on TV. No. I still don't understand why not.
They streamed it only, I heard, and then they're going to replay it apparently on the 24th of December.
Why in the hell wouldn't they put it live on TV? Like, it makes sense. Speaking of live, I'll show you what they should be doing. I mean, because we're going to show you live on 5:30 to 6:30 on December 9th. The lighting will come up. The tree's already there. I don't have the gentleman's name. I mentioned him last Saturday, him and his wife, and thanked them very, very much for the tree that they donated.
Oh, right.
It's 35 feet tall, 32 feet wide. It is a monster tree. And the tree got pictures sent to me here in my holidays, and it's erected up already, so they'll start to decorate it. And I'm looking forward to like a kid now on December 9th. I'm inviting anybody who wants to come down at Portage and Main, of course, at the Métis-owned now, used to be Bank of Montreal, but it's the New Heritage Center. So it's definitely one that I'm looking forward to. We have dignitaries, of course, invited to come. Whether they come, they come. I hope they do. And it's a great opportunity because Portage and Main is such a beautiful location when our lights are going to be blistering with great anticipation by many, and at the same time with probably brightness that you'll see shining throughout Portage and Main. So I'm looking forward to it. I know the team's all excited, and they're getting that tree, I guess, to its beautification. But 5:30 to 6:30, there'll be gatherings. There'll be gatherings outside and inside. There'll be some cookies and some other little dainties, and then we have some fiddlers and music and entertainment for 1 hour, 5:30 to 6:30. And so I'm telling people, you want to come down, you want to stand outside, be a participant, help out, and get the light switch and cheer it all on. The Métis government is going to show our pride, of course, to our beautiful city, Winnipeg, and our beautiful province, Manitoba. And I'm sure reality is so proud that I'm sure he walked around that area at one time in our history. And for the light to shine up and the Métis government now owning the main central building on the busiest street in Western Canada. So I'm very proud of that. So the people, in fact, I just got the information here from Glorian, my wife, Michelle, and Ron Bacon of Winnipeg. Thank you again for that tree. And I'm sure, I hope you're there also, and I'll have a chance to meet you, so I hope you're listening. It's a Colorado blue spruce, if you know anything on that side, Naomi.
Nice,
so that I'm looking forward to. So it's live stream. You just got to go into the MMF website, look for Lighting Up the Heart of the Homeland. So lighting up, and go to mmf.md.ca. Anybody listening, mmf.md.ca, and you look inside there and you look for the Lighting Up the Heart of the Homeland. I know there are people in Saskatchewan and all that are listening. They probably want to participate. So go into mmf.md.ca, Lighting Up the Heart of the Homeland. Starts at 5:30. The lights will come on at 6 o'clock sharp. And as I said, I'm truly looking forward to that. Also want to say special birthdays going out to Sean Nolt. He's a Minister of Veterans. His birthday is November 30th. Also from Bernice, my sister-in-law, sending a special birthday to her daughter, November 28th, and also from my family and others. Steph's birthday. Also, Daryl Beck's birthday today, and Gordon's close confidant. And so happy, he's a nurse, in fact, Daryl. And he goes back and forth to New York. And so he's avid traveler up north. Easterville, I believe he works in those areas. So again, happy birthday, Daryl, from me and Gloria and the rest of the family. Also, there's a happy 45th wedding as John, I think I mentioned last time, in Barbara Fleury. So happy, it's November 25th, and that was just yesterday, I believe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm ahead of you by about, I think, 6 or 7 hours up here. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So that's why I get lost on time. Also, congratulations to Anita Campbell. She was actually honored by the Provincial Council of Women on November 22nd at the 14th annual gala and fundraiser.
Oh, congrats!
So that's good. We have, by the way, speaking of fundraiser and galas, we will have one in the spring. I know Denise Thomas and others will be working on that, and we have yet to decide and choose which donation will go where. But speaking of donations, and for ongoing support that we provide on behalf of our Métis people across our beautiful homeland, Christmas Cheerboard is always on our mind.
Yeah.
And this is the time of season that we all depend on, especially the high cost of food today. We know a lot of families are hurting and having a hard time, and we always say no child should go without a Christmas present, at least a damn good meal at home, you know. So one of the things I know that Christmas Cheerboard does, it helps in the days, 22,000 families at times, and then it might be more now, given the fact what the pressures many families are going through. And so we want to do our part as the Métis government. We'll be inviting, of course, the new CEO of the Christmas Cheerboard, and we'll be giving a check for $50,000 to the Christmas Cheerboard to help with the cost and oversight of so many people that are working there to get this job done. It's a big job, and I want to thank all the volunteers, myself, Arnold Lasham, Don Willette, others. We volunteered many times driving vehicles and dropping off presents and meals, turkeys and all the nice added on additions in there, whether it's stuffing and all that was in the boxes. Mm-hmm. So we used to like doing that, and we haven't been told for it, I don't know. But anyways, we'll be giving a check for $50,000 on behalf of all Métis people listening right now, and I'll look forward to seeing the CEO there on December 9th. We also were part of St. Boniface Hospital emergency. MMF played a role again, being a sponsor, a major sponsor, and Larry Vicker, of course, was adamant to be ensuring the Métis were not left out and making sure that we're part of that. And so we donated funding there, and Anita Campbell and the Infinity Women team went to take calls and collect money for the emergency center at St. Boniface. They're trying to expand. They want to buy X-ray machines and some CT scan machines, and they want to expand the location because our hospitals are just jam-packed. So we did our part there again. So no matter what you look at, you can see that the Métis government is everywhere trying to do our part to help out in the many challenges so many people face, not just the Métis. With any woman, by the way, speaking of them, still are doing their secretariat, is holding gender-based violence consultations this weekend again. Mm-hmm. So again, led by Anita Campbell, and that's very important because it becomes issues where so many families struggle with violence and domestic violence, and it's just an issue where how do you get out of it, how do you break it, how do you stop it, how do you prevent it. So these workshops are very important because they try to get solutions and answers, but at the same time start hearing some of the challenges that families do face, and how can they, as the Infinity Woman, do their part to help out. So again, thank the Infinity Woman for that, moving up that agenda to help on gender. They did United Nations, I think, a week ago. Now they're doing that. So again, it just shows you over and over how important these things make such a big difference in people's life. Right now, the Minister Chartrand is also working on the health and wellness departments, is traveling with their mobile clinic. As I spoke at the assembly, we have 2 beautiful red vans. You'll see them with the MMF symbolism all over it.
Yeah.
And they're traveling, and they're doing, of course, their foot care services, diabetes screening, vaccines, COVID flu, cholesterol checks, general health checks in general, overall. Selkirk, they're there November 30th, so you want to get a hold of your region, get a hold of the MMF Health Department, and maybe book yourself to get on and be seen by the nurses and all that are in there. These are RNs, and so they definitely can even prescribe prescriptions now. So Selkirk, November 30th, they're there. Saint-Laurent, December 6th, they're there. Grand Marais, December 7th, they're there. Richard, December 8th, they're there. And Campersville, December 15th. So, again, kudos to Minister Chartrand and the rest of the health team that are going out there to make such a big difference. But there's also a health survey. If you want to participate, if you're Métis, and you want to participate on a questionnaire, so it takes a little time, but they will pay you for it because they want to hear from your information. They want to use that information to better judge some of the key things they should be looking at or focused on. Mm-hmm. So they give you $100 honorarium, but you got to fill out that questionnaire. So if you want to find out, you want to be a participant in that, if you're a Métis citizen, get a hold of the health department and the MF, get a hold of your region, and ask where do you participate in making sure you want to be heard, and you want to make sure your voice or your issues that you face in health or in your family's facing health will be taken into consideration by the Minister of Health as they move forward on the agenda. As I said earlier, we're going to push that agenda very, very hard with Canada. We're getting impatient with the slowness of how they're reacting to the Métis need that's happening when it comes to health. Mm-hmm. Also, the child educator workshop that's taking place January 16th. So that's available. You call the MMF. I'm not going to read out all the information there because it's too long. And then reminder, there's Energy Advisor Training Program. That's, again, happening with MET, MMF. Get a hold of them. And there's a 36-week program. It's a partnership with Natural Resources Canada and Red River Polytechnic for 36-week part-time instructors needed, energy advisor, saving, and then they meet with a bunch of people throughout the province. So, again, I'm not going to go that. MET will better answer that than I will. Mm-hmm. And that's John Choi is the minister for that, and Kerry Smith is the manager. So there's also Milliner Ridge. We got a partnership with jobs there. That's also important to recognize the opportunities that does exist. And we're trying to make sure that people continue to take these opportunities of jobs that are coming their way. Now, on December 12th, I'll give that heads up on that one. I'll be in Dauphin. Dauphin is happening the grand opening of their brand new, biggest office building in Dauphin now. And a kudos to the Northwest Executive, of course, Minister Chartrand, and Francis is the Vice President, Richard Germain, and now Peter Fleming. Kudos to their team and all the locals in that area that work so hard. They're opening many buildings in that region, daycare centers, new infrastructure, new offices. And this particular building they're opening, Dauphin, is going to be the biggest office building in Dauphin. And it's going to have also going to have a pharmacy, it's going to have foot care services, on and on and on, and a bunch of course, providing services in all various sectors. So that's happening on the 12th. I'll be there. On the 13th, I'll be in Ottawa. Following that, I'm in Ottawa for Christmas celebrations the Liberal Party will be having. And, of course, my job now is to go and lobby a lot of these guys, remind them about the Métis needs, mm-hmm. remind them where they're failing and what they need to do to catch up. To make sure the Métis are not left out. So I'll be taking some of my ministers with me, and we'll be out there working on behalf of our people from 13th to 15th, I believe. And so after that, of course, we're going to still work around the office, get it ready. Office is still not open for anybody listening. You still can call in, of course. You'll still get services. Still skeleton staff, and a lot of them are moving to Sutherland. They're moving to Heritage Center. The office should be ready by February, they're talking, potentially. So if that happens, I'm still working there. They moved me downstairs from upstairs. So I got a little corner spot, but there's a lot of renovations happening, a lot of banging, a lot of noise. There was no heat for a while, but now we have heat in there, so people still can come there because, of course, the pharmacy's there, and people still show up to use that. So, again, with that being said, I'll sign off for now.
Okay.
And say hi to my baby. I hope she's listening out in Duck Bay from me. In Winnipeg from me and Glora. And big hugs from us. We miss her. And we're lonesome already for her. And but if we can't take her out of there, she's got to go to school.
Yeah.
And of course, to my daughter and my son, and to Gordon's mom and her brother and all of her family, we say a big hello from out here in our getaway. And I look forward to getting home, to be honest with you, and getting back to work. So, but anyways, with that being said. I was going to talk about the identity theft, and not identity, I'm sorry, class action suit. I referenced that last time, but I don't think I have enough time to speak on it. I have 5 minutes, but I want people to pay attention to this particular file. Class action lawsuits, as you hear today, settlements happening, some major settlements, but some are minor settlements. Some people are not happy with settlements. But what's happening with these class action lawsuits, it used to be very challenging to get one to be taken to a court. Mm-hmm. You get to thousands and thousands of signatures. Today, it could take two people. And once they put if they put the word Métis, that could mean anybody, because there's no definition of who they are. Who are they fighting for? Who do you represent? Because who put them there? Nobody voted for them. So two Métis people can just get together along with some First Nation, a couple of people there, and they can do a class action lawsuit. And the unfortunate thing, I don't care what kind of constitution you have or what kind of agreement you have with Canada, the class action lawsuit can prevail over you. And so if our people say, that's not what I asked for, it's not what I wanted. For example, the 60 school. Our people are saying they want longevity of programs. They want to make sure. They don't want a cash settlement, say, here's a few bucks and then it's all over. What they want is that it took 20 years or 30 years to just ruin my life. It's going to take me 20 years to regain my life and to help my children regain their life. Yeah. So they're looking for programs, longevity of mental and programs to get through the psychological warfare. They're fighting in their own heads, but all they've used to took in the 60 scoop and the struggles they face. So class action lawsuits, yes, they sound like they're doing well, but they're very dangerous because they may not be what you want, and only takes two people to put it together. So we're actually looking at taking that matter to court and challenging it because it's not right. Because if you're in a 60 lawsuit, you want to be consulted, you want to be heard. So now I'll close off with this way: if somebody represents a class action lawsuit, the challenge is left on you now. It used to be completely 100% the other way. The challenge is left on you if you're a 60 soup survivor to say I'm opting out. But how do you know? Nobody tells you. You don't even know what's going on because the lawyers don't talk to you. So here you are, a 60 scoop survivor, a residential scoop survivor, whatever you want to be, survivor in certain fields that you've been wrongly affected. All of a sudden, somebody's deciding your fate without you having a voice. So, this is completely what we fight against with governments on duty to consult. You hear a lot of that from First Nations leadership and me, that our people have the right to be consulted, and you don't have the right to determine their fate without even talking to them. So that's why these class action lawsuits are a little bit dangerous. And we're watching it very closely with our lawyers, and we're looking at what steps we'll be taking to hold them accountable to our people. So anyways, with that being said, I'll talk to you guys next Saturday and look forward to December 9th. I am actually looking forward, like a kid, to be there on switching on the lights and the big giant tree and just lighting up Portage and Main. And I look forward to seeing a lot of people there.
All right. You have a good rest of your trip and safe travels.
Hey, by the way,
yeah,
Ray does singing lessons still in case you want to hit down the doctor. Okay.
I'm going to need one. Bye.
Goodbye.
Totally thrown on the spot there. Thanks, David, for highlighting it even more. You're listening. Of course, that was the President, David Chartrand, with his weekly report, Métis Matters. And yes, I'll get some singing lessons.